and welcome to another episode of the Anime Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Lance, here with my other host, Matt. And today we're going to be doing a little bit of a special episode because we're going to cover Netflix's version of One Piece Season 1. And I'm just going to go ahead and spill the beans and be like, just loving it. I'm going to say this is probably my favorite anime adaptation out of everything anime so far because they did such an amazing job.
Okay. Okay. I will say I've never watched One Piece, so this will be kind of an instructional podcast for me, which should be
Mhm.
kind of cool to get it from the other side, almost like I'm listening to our episode like for the first time. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, you're gonna be essentially just a guest who's just listening in, and but it's gonna be okay because I got a lot of thoughts to share. I'm gonna break down this whole entire season, and this is gonna be spoilers. So if anybody's listening, I'm gonna just spoil enough of it. So be prepared. But at this point in time, if you're interested in One Piece, you already know.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
So I can also start off by saying this stayed so true to like 99%, not 99, that's a little too high, but a good 90 to 95% of the actual storyline was perfectly executed. So I don't want to say this would be a perfect replacement for watching the first 44 episodes of the whole anime, but if you want to get it done quicker and more up to date kind of stuff, I think this is a pretty good way. So even if you wanted to sit back and consume 44 episodes of anime and 8 episodes of Netflix, I think this would be comparable enough.
Yeah, pretty close. Because these are hour-long episodes, or the episodes for the Netflix are an hour, right?
Yeah, so they range from like 44 minutes to like 48, 52 ish, I think, somewhere around there. They're not quite an hour, but might as well round it to that point if there was commercials. But yeah, so 8 episodes of full length features.
Okay. Cool.
So, yeah, like I said, 44 episodes this covers, and they did a fantastic job. And if you're watching us on YouTube, I'm going to go through a little slideshow I put together, just something quick. And if you're listening to us audio wise on Spotify or whatever, then hopefully my words can transfer over properly enough. So let's just start out with a lot of the cast. Right up front, I think everybody in this entire show was cast so awesomely, pretty perfect. And of course, we got to start out with our main character, Monkey D. Luffy, played by Iñaki Godoy. He's a great actor. I know a lot of people are probably going to be like, yeah, but he doesn't have that crazy dumbfounded single cell working brain that the anime shows often because Monkey is a pretty crazy character
Hmm.
and he's silly. How about that? He's just really silly. And in this whole Netflix series, he's a lot more humanoid, so he's a lot more understanding. He's not as silly, and that's fine because the main deal is he's just there for his friends. He's there for his number one goal, which everyone knows is to become the Pirate King and get the One Piece. For someone like you who doesn't exactly know what's going on, the One Piece is the perfect treasure that Gold Roger, the very first king that made, or pirate king, that found this amazing treasure and he hid it somewhere beyond the Grand Line. So it's inspired all these pirates to go find this treasure that no one really knows what it is, but they know they'll become pirate kings if they get it. Uh,
Okay.
so that's what influences Monkey D. Luffy a little bit to go past there is to go get this One Piece and obviously everyone else. So Monkey D. Luffy, amazing. He does a great job. In fact, the very first episode where he's introduced is spot on with the anime. He's floating in a barrel, and we get introduced to another guy named Kobe. I'll talk about him in a minute. And they just follow his storyline so perfectly, and they just I don't know they just do a good job. Let's talk about someone else. Roanoa Zoro, fan favorite. I know he gets a lot of praises on the internet, and he is probably one of my favorite characters, if not yeah, he is my favorite character. He's just this badass swordsman. I have an affinity for swordsmen, so he's got my liking. He's played by McKinney. He's does an amazing job. Again, I'm going to say that for everybody. He really shows Zoro's I don't know. I don't want to say passion, but he just the way he acts. He's kind of this colder guy, and he loves to drink and he loves to nap, and he's amazing at fighting. And I was really interested in how they would live action his three sword style. I know you're not too familiar with Zoro and his skills, but he's got two swords in his hand, and one in his mouth, and that's why he's so different than everyone else.
So I do know the character. I know a lot of the characters because One Piece has been around for 20 years and the internet. So it's
Well, a lot
these
longer than
characters.
20 years. We're
Yeah,
pushing 30. And we're past 30.
yeah, long time.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, I live in the internet, so it's
Yep.
these characters aren't new. I've seen them. Do I know really anything beyond surface level? Absolutely not. But I do at least know who the characters are.
Right, right. And again, he's so good at it. I was really excited. They did a small little twist on the introduction of Zoro in the anime. We find Zoro pinned up on this cross that you see in the bottom left corner. Like that's how he's found. He's given up to the Marines, and he's expected to stay there for 30 days. Like no food, no water for whatever reason, and he's supposed to put up like he's just sacrificing himself to save some other people. But in the Netflix version, we get to go backwards in time like half a day to where there's a little fight at a bar, and these Marines mess with this little girl who's trying to give him some rice balls that were supposed to be super good. And it was just kind of a wholesome scene and seeing exactly why Zoro ended up on this crucifix. So I really appreciated a little bit more of this backstory. Yeah, I mean, he just, I can't say it anymore. Such a great job. So many things coming out of there. Let's move on to Nami. Nami was also played amazingly, played by Emily Rudd. I looked it up on Google. She is not related to Paul Rudd. So if anyone's interested in that, not the same relation. She does a great job. The backstory on her childhood was spot on too. And I really liked that they brought her weapon into play because in the first couple tens of episodes, she's running around with a staff that breaks into three pieces so that she can stash it on her body. So that's really interesting. So I made sure to put a little picture there. And damn it, every time it's just she does such a great job. There's not too much that's really different with her. And yeah, we'll just move on to this next one. Usopp. Usopp was someone that I was going to be super interested in because in the anime or in the manga, obviously as well, he's got such a long ass nose and he's such a silly character to the point where in the beginning of the series, like he's annoying, he's a coward, and I was really interested in how they were going to portray him. And I thought that they picked such a perfect looking person to play Usopp. He doesn't have the long nose, but we're going to be actually that's kind of strange because I was about to say it's okay, it's a little bit more realistic, but at the same time, in the world of One Piece, nobody necessarily looks realistic. So it just would have been probably more annoying to mess with his nose. But I'm totally okay with it. I think it looks a little bit better, but that's me being a late comer to One Piece, so that's okay.
Yeah, it might have
His
deterred from the acting. There could be just something very basic where it's like, yeah, you know what? Maybe the nose just doesn't do it for the show, and it's
right,
just to distract the audience when you can't really. You want to enjoy the characters. Like, if all I'm doing is staring at this guy's super long nose, I'm not going to pay attention to the character. So that it could just be a simple thing like that.
yeah, and I totally get it. And then I'm sure everybody who started One Piece all kind of felt the same way. Like, yeah, he looks extra silly with the long nose, so let's just cut that off and let's just make this normal.
Yeah.
I was totally cool with that. His startup was exactly the same too. Luffy and Nami are kind of a thing before they meet Usopp, and they travel to his village. And here's Usopp running around telling his whole entire village that there's pirates coming. He does this every single day. He's crying wolf, and he's made a name for himself, and that's because his father is a pirate and he's part of one of the most powerful pirate crews out there. So he has a big shoe to fill that he thinks. So it's understandable. But they follow the story like extra perfect with him. And I was really happy to see Usopp, just really come into play. His story with Kaya, this girl that you'll see on the bottom left, she's a super rich girl whose parents had recently died like 3 years prior to us finding her, and she owns this shipyard. And there's going to be a big point into their story where they go and get uh, the Going Merry, their main ship, so they can start crossing the seas. And their relationship between Usopp and Kaya, they played that one so well as well. So I was really happy to see that. The next big character, Sanji. Sanji's another fan favorite of many people. He's this kind of pretty boy, badass, and he's really interesting because he doesn't fight with his hands; he fights with his feet. And as every fan knows, it's because he's a cook, and cooks don't use their hands to fight; they use their hands to cook. So they got to keep their hands, in shape. So that's his quirk, and it's really nice.
Okay.
And they did the same thing with Sanji with perfect backstory and perfect introduction. Uh, we find out when he was a child, he was on another boat and he wanted to cook. He was being harassed by other shipmates, and then he ends up getting attacked by another boat, and it's led by this Zeph character. Zeph is this old guy that you'll see on the bottom, and he's just this badass of a pirate, and he loves to cook, but he also loves being a pirate, and he's considered really powerful. They call him, oh crap, Red Boots Zeph or something like that, and it's because his boot was stained red because of all the people he's killed. So he was also another fighter that only used his feet because you got to keep your hands clean for food.
I
Uh,
suppose.
yeah. And going back to the childhood, since we're already here with these pictures, one big difference between the anime and this Netflix was how Zeph ended up losing his leg. In the anime, a giant, okay, the way it first starts happens the same. A giant wave comes and crashes over both their ships, capsizes everything, and Sanji has this big dream of wanting to see the All Blue, which is where a point in the ocean where all four oceans touch, and it's supposed to be this perfect place for all cooks. And Zeph really likes that idea because he has the same exact dream, and because of that, Zeph wanted to go save him when the ship's capsized, and this is where the difference comes in. In the anime, an anchor ends up. Oh no, not an anchor. He ends up getting trapped between like two pieces of the ship. So his foot is actually stuck and he can't go anywhere. And this anchor and a chain come into play, and he essentially rips his leg off so that he can free himself and go get Sanji and then go get safety. In the Netflix version, that doesn't happen. He just straight up saves him, and they end up going onto this giant rock of an island where they have to sit for X amount of days. And I think the days might have been a little different. I think they said like 90 days in the Netflix passed by. And I think, I don't know, maybe 50 ish in the anime. They didn't say it, but they showed it with like cross checks, like hash marks
Yep.
where how many days passed by. I didn't count it out, but it was whatever. The point is, a long time had one gone by. And Zeph was the awesome guy, gave Sanji a bag of food and told Sanji, ration this out because we don't know how long we're going to be here. And Zeph is sitting there with a giant bag. And then we come to learn that that giant bag is just full of treasure. And he's been sitting here not eating food the entire time. So we're wondering how exactly did he survive? Well, in the Netflix version, you find out that he lost his leg because he chopped it off so he can eat it. So I thought
Hmm.
that was super interesting. And I think, according to what I overheard, I'm pretty sure that's what happened in the manga. So I think they stayed more true to the manga than they did the anime. So can't say
Okay.
that for sure, but that's what I heard. So I thought that was really cool that they at least went back to more of the main source there.
Interesting.
So one last thing about Sanji and his character was they stayed true to his character. He's super in love with Nami, and they make that very, very clear. And he also has like this little rivalry grudge with Zoro in the beginning. So I'm really happy they stayed true to that. Like they're just like two brothers that are just fighting each other all the time. So it's really fun to see them like go at it and just give each other shit all the time. So it's a lot of fun. So Sanji, played by Taz Skyler, did a fantastic job. So happy to see Sanji come to light in this one.
Nice.
All right, so that's the main cruise. I'm really excited to talk about other characters because literally every character in this entire show is just cast so well. Kobe, the this kid that you see in the first episode, I'm so happy that they made this guy a lot more important in the Netflix version than they did in the anime version because he basically didn't have much of an appearance. He was there for the first couple episodes, and then when Kobe decides that he wants to become a Marine and he finds his spot, Luffy tells him take it, and they split their ways, and it's really nice. It's understandable, but we get to see it flushed out so much more, and he's more important in Netflix, and it's really nice. So Kobe is played by Morgan Davies. Little history on Morgan Davies. He's a transgender person. Came out when he was 13. So awesome person. Been in a lot of roles in Australia. So he's doing a great job. So I'm really happy to see that they're getting a little bit of love out there. So did a fantastic role playing Kobe and loved every moment of it because Kobe and Luffy are such great friends and they just want the best for each other, even though they're basically enemies because Kobe's a Marine and Luffy's a pirate and they're supposed to, hate each other.
Yep.
And which brings us to Garp. I put these guys on the same slide because Garp, who's played by Vincent Regan, another Australian, just played so very well. This guy is such a badass. He's got such an awesome, deep voice, and he's got this authority about him, and it's just really nice. And Kobe basically plays under Garp. Garp is, he's a lead command guy, and Kobe just wants to work his way up. And man, Garp is you learn to really like him.
Okay, cool.
And one big difference is he's not this relevant early in the series. So they pushed him ahead of time, and they're chasing the pirates, and he's chasing Luffy, and he just wants to make sure that Luffy's doing what he needs to do, and he's gonna be taken care of in a way. So like he's a good guy, bad guy kind of thing. So
Okay.
great relationship,
So my question
fantastic.
is, as far as Garp is concerned,
Uh huh.
or not Garp, Kobe is concerned, will he become a person later on? Like, is that
Yeah,
how? Okay.
yeah, he
So,
is more important later on in the series. Like I know in like season 2, he makes another appearance. It's just like a fun episode. It's nothing super important. It's just like, oh hey, remember Kobe? He's doing good in the Marines. So it kind of
okay.
just
So they just wanted to make use of introducing the character. That makes sense. Okay, cool.
yeah. And everybody's happy that they did because they did such an amazing job putting him into the storyline and making everything make sense.
Okay, awesome.
All right, moving on. We got Shanks, the person who has influenced Luffy into becoming a pirate. Shanks is a badass. All the people that know anything about future Shanks know that he's a badass. And this dude who plays him, Peter Godot, I'm pretty sure it's pronounced, he does a great job. Shanks isn't this super like evil, mean, badass kind of guy, like in that kind of sense. He's just kind of more laid back. He's seen action. He doesn't need to overreact to anything, and it's for good reason because he's seen shit. This actor did a great job playing him, and I cannot wait to see more come out of it. And so many scenes that were important to his early story were played perfectly in Netflix. So I was really happy to see that. And then I got Dracul, Mihawk. Hawkeye Mihawk is really how he's known. He's one of the 7 warlords of all the seas, and this dude is such a badass. I was so happy to see him played in here. This dude's played by Stephen John Ward. I don't think they could have cast a better character. His mannerisms, the way he looks, is just spot on all the time. And Mihawk really gets introduced early, not early, but like mid season. He's taken out pirates and he has a big fight with Zoro. And I was really excited to see the fight with Zoro because that fight actually does influence the rest of season 1. So I was happy to see that. Mihawk, he's got this big giant sword. It's basically the size of his body. He keeps it on his back, and he's just super powerful. And I'm really happy how they introduced how powerful he was because in the Netflix series, he's blowing up ships. And it kind of brings into play something big that happened, a big difference. And I'll just jump ahead to Don Krieg. The whole Don Krieg arc was completely missing in a way. They showed him Don Krieg in the anime and manga was took a very significant amount of time, and that's all right that they skipped this because they did give him a little bit of a glory. They showed Mihawk versus Don Krieg's boat, and that does happen in the anime. You don't get to see it really, but we just know that Don Krieg just got completely screwed over, and they're basically dead. But we get to see in Netflix that he just destroys them, no problem, and it was actually really fun to see. I'm happy that they did that. Staying with the Don Krieg crew, another couple henchmen that we don't really get introduced to are Pearl and Geen. I know it's spelt like Jin, but it's pronounced Geen, so I want to throw that out there for anybody. Pearl, he's just the super armored guy who can set himself on fire, and he was really strong and nothing too special about him. And Geen was the second in line for Don Krieg's crew. He was saved by Sanji on the boat, and he had mad respect for him. They had respect for each other, really. And Geen just wanted to leave him alone, but Don Krieg's an asshole and just wanted to take over the boat completely because Don Krieg needed a new boat because Mihawk destroyed everything he had. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. That's one of the biggest differences in the show is they completely got rid of Don Krieg for the most part. He has a very small showing, and that's okay because this is a show. This is live action, so they got to make cuts where they can, and they did a good job. Moving on to the next character, Buggy. Buggy is one of my favorite characters. He was my favorite in the anime. He's one of my favorite in the anime, and he easily translated into one of my favorites in this entire show. Buggy, played by Jeff Ward, did a fantastic job. Buggy the Clown, he's another person who ate a devil fruit. He's got the chop chop fruit. He can split his body into multiple pieces, so he can never officially die from like being cut or anything like that because he can displace his head, his hands, his legs, whatever he wants to displace, he can just split apart. And being a Joker fan, it's really no wonder why Buggy's one of my favorite. He's this crazy clown. The anime, he's a lot more, Joker esque in his voice and stuff like that. So that's why I gravitated towards him so quickly. But in the Netflix film, he's just a lot of fun. He's got these one liners. I don't know. I can't really say much more than that. He's funny and he's menacing at the same time. And he's a lot more important in the Netflix version than he is in anime because in the anime, he's got a handful of episodes and then he's gone. But in Netflix, he sticks around for quite a while and he pops up here and there. And I was actually kind of pleased to see that. One other difference in the anime and the Netflix show is when the Straw Hat crew ends up getting a map to the Grand Line. Mm-hmm. In the Netflix version, they get it pretty early on, like when they meet Zoro and they're fighting Axe Hand Morgan, and Axe Hand Morgan is the one with the Grand Line map, and they steal it from him, and that's why they're wanted and being chased is because they screwed with a Marine captain and whatever. But in the anime, I think Buggy is the one that has the map, and they end up stealing the map from him, and that's why he becomes a little bit more important. But that's whatever. Lots of stuff were replaced when it came to Buggy, especially the Buggy Ball. I was a little disappointed to see that the Buggy Ball wasn't in the Netflix version. It's really just this cannonball that just has massive explosion power, and it was fun to see in the anime. But in Netflix, all he does is take over a town and kidnaps everybody and makes them join his like little circus event, and everybody in town is like in the audience, and they gotta applaud when he wants applaud. They need to laugh when he needs to laugh. So it's comical in that sense, but it's still good. Every change that they did really well. So I'm happy that they played Buggy to his extent. So our next big baddie is Arlong, played by McKinley Belcher III. Also, someone else who did a fantastic job. I know a lot of people are talking about they wish that he was much larger and bulkier as a person. I can see why they didn't go that route because that's probably going to take a lot more CGI or anything along those lines. You're not going to find some super massive bodybuilder just so easily to play Arlong as a good character. But I did come to really appreciate McKinley's acting because Arlong is a super powerful guy and he did a great job. I'm really happy that they brought out his giant axe, his one-sided blade. I forget what that weapon's actually called, but it's like a sword. But then there's like spiky blades that come off on the side, like a bunch of sights, kind of. I don't know if you can envision what I'm trying to say. Whatever. But
No, but that's fine.
there's a moment where Luffy breaks one of the spikes, and I'm glad that they translated that into the Netflix version. Some of the fight scenes were a little bit different in the anime. Arlong used a lot of more biting skills, and he would dive underwater, pick up a lot of speed, and then like jump out of water and basically cannonball himself or whatever towards Luffy. They skipped that. I can understand why. That's too much fluff. Let's just get straight to the story, straight to the action. The sword was really the biggest takeaway. Actually, even bigger yet, Arlong's defeat was the biggest takeaway because that's where we get Luffy's. I think it's called the battle axe kick or something like that. He throws his foot really high in the air and then uses the momentum as like a battle hammer and takes Arlong out that way. And I thought that was awesome. I'm so glad they stayed true to the way he was defeated. So really happy with that one. And the rest of his fish crew, everybody was on point. I don't remember everybody's names because they're really not that relevant, but everybody was portrayed perfectly. Like I know it's a little weird. I remember Chew. Chew's the guy. He's in the picture to the left. He's got like a little bit of an extended kissy face going on. He looked really silly in Netflix, but they did the best that they could, and I thought they did a great job. There was one fishman that they missed out on. His name's Hachi. He's this octopus guy. He's actually really funny in the anime. He's just this happy-go-lucky, stupid guy, and it was a little disappointing to see that he wasn't even in this at all. He's got this really nice fight scene with Zoro, where it's 6 swords versus 3 swords, and they totally skipped over all of that. A little unfortunate, but that's okay. Oh, let's go back a minute. Cloudor. Cloudor is was another character that was cast like super perfectly. I mean, it's kind of easy to play. I can imagine it'd be easier to essentially play a butler with slicked back hair. And this dude's got these cat claws. They played him so well. And his henchmen, Bucci and Sham, they were also played really well. In the anime, Sham, the girl on the right, is actually a guy in the anime. They're like the Cat brothers or something like that, but they made it very clear that they're brothers. But Netflix made it one of a girl, and that's totally fine because it's not that important of a character. But she did a fantastic job playing her role too. There was a lot of differences that happened between the anime and Netflix in the whole Cloudor and Kuro scene. I'm going to say arc, really. A lot of the ending of this entire arc was supposed to take place like on the shoreline outside, and there was just a big battle between Kuro and all of his pirates versus our heroes, and it was a good scene, it was a good arc. But in Netflix, they took care of everything inside the mansion. Totally cool with all that too, because it gave it more of a darker kind of a feel. So I was actually really happy with the way that they portrayed all that. So the differences that they did was perfectly suitable. Another character that they didn't place was this Django guy. He's a hypnotist, and in the anime, he was kind of funny because he was always hypnotizing himself as he was hypnotizing other people, and it was just funny to laugh at him. And with the final scenes, there was another scene where he hypnotizes his whole crew to make them think that they're all stronger than they actually are. And then Luffy's also paying attention to the hypnotize. So he gets insanely stronger at the same time. And it's a real funny scene, that whole fight. So it's a little sad that they didn't make any of that come to light because that would have been fun. But again, understand time constraints. We got to cut out some characters. I don't even think he was introduced at all. So that's actually, I think he was on a wanted poster. A lot of people who are not big scenes, you can see on wanted posters. So I guess that's one way to bring him back into play. So that was really nice. So yeah, uh that's pretty much everything. One more thing about Mihawk I'm really happy that they showed on the final episode near the end where Mihawk finds Shanks and they ended up telling him that Luffy's now a wanted guy. He's on a wanted poster for like 30 million berries. He's worth way more than a lot of the top ranked guys. So everybody's really happy that he's a wanted guy, which is kind of funny. But yeah, it's happy to see that in the end. Yeah, overall, I'll say it again, 100% pleased with this. if you've seen this, they made a little message at the end of season 1 that season 2 is on its way. And of course, the internet totally ruined that for everybody anyway. So everybody knows that season 2 is going to come out. And I even saw a couple things on Facebook saying that like the creator has 6 seasons already roadmapped and already in, well, he wants it to happen, but we got to see if the funding will be there. And with the
Well,
success of this one, I'd be surprised.
and I will say it's easy to roadmap 6 seasons when you're basing it off of a show that already has like 30 seasons. So
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
that
Good point.
difficult, but that's awesome to hear that they did such a good job portraying the anime. Kind of sounds like they threw in some manga stuff that they weren't able to in the anime, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
Um,
I wish I knew
and
more
yeah,
because then I could share more, but
I will
that's,
say I'm still not gonna.
that's a lot. You go.
Yes, definitely sounds like a lot. I will say I'm still not gonna watch One Piece. I just can't.
Yeah. Don't blame
Um,
you.
I
It's
know
such an
my
insane
cousin.
thing.
More power to you. More power to anybody who wants to partake into it now. I know it's good. I'll just miss out on something that's good. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. That's totally fine. I'll keep you up to date with stuff. I can share anything that you might need me to share with you. But I'm looking forward to the next season. I'm looking forward to seeing Smoker. He's this badass guy that's in the anime, and they already teased him, so I'm excited.
Awesome.
All right, so any
I
last
guess it
thoughts?
really the biggest thing is this just proves that when you've got something that has been made, let the creator just be a part of it. Listen to what they have to say because they have a vision for it. They know how it's going to be. If it's successful, there's a reason it's successful. Let them help you for it to be successful. Like it's not a hard concept. I know everybody's got the like creative liberties and you want to put your own stamp on something, but this proves I feel that sometimes just let the art be what it is.
Right. Yeah, and then again, just can't wait for more. This being said, I know we've been seeing ads like crazy for Netflix to come out with a Yu Yu Hakusho live action. I'm a little scared for that one because that one's a little bit more fantastical. So I can only hope that they don't bomb that one because that's both of our top favorite animes. So can only hope.
Yes, I will say probably my personal favorite live action is Rurouni Kenshin. They did an amazing job with that one. Have you watched that one, Lance?
I have not.
You need to. I don't know if you've watched. Have you watched
Yeah.
the series?
No, no, I haven't even. I've seen a handful of episodes. Back when I was a kid. Late at night, but not enough to know anything about the storyline. It was just this cool long-haired samurai guy and that was really all I cared about. So yeah, I guess that would be another anime sin that I'd have to get that one under my belt.
So you do need to watch Samurai X as well because Aroni Kenshin starts with prelude stuff. So now, while it's not necessary, it is good to see, and then they move forward with the series. So it is really good. Just to kind of give some praises to other live actions that have done a good job. I wish we had more of these. Apparently, Netflix is super hit and miss on if they're going to do a good job or not.
Yeah. So I hope this is really the start of a new trend for new ones to really take off.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I want to say thanks, Lance. That's you put a lot of work into this, and it was awesome to hear. Kind of get from the outside looking in, so it was interesting. I will say that.
All right. Well, hopefully, if you have like 8 hours of free time and you want to get a nice start on something, you can at least start with the Netflix version because they do a good job.
Awesome. Yeah, maybe we'll put it on that list of things I need to watch that never stops.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Everyone's got that. All right, but that's gonna conclude today's episode. Thanks everyone for tuning in for this bonus episode. Make sure to follow us on every platform. Please give us a 5-star rating if you are listening to us on a platform. If you're listening to us on YouTube, please follow us there and leave us a like so that we can help us grow. Also, make sure to follow the Anime Show on Facebook and Instagram. Stay up to date on everything anime related, all that anime news. There's so much that goes on all the time, so they do a good job keeping you up to date on that. And until next time, we'll see you guys.